Nothing. That's what I've been called. That's what I thought I'd amount to. That's what I felt like. But that's never what I thought I would be. I was born and raised in Harlem. My father gone before I was born. My brother gone by the time I was 6. And my mother a devout Christian. I grew up going to Christian meetings 3 times a week, preaching on Saturdays, and allowed to only hang out with a selected few of friends. To anyone on the outside looking in, I seem to be handling things fine. At home, I learned how to be poised, polite, polished, and articulate. At school, I learned how to, the slang, the curses, the inappropriate music. I hung out with regular kids, and I was leading a successful double life before I was 12, and wearing fake smiles before I knew what fake was. In middle school, the cracks started to show. My father came back to my life, giving me chances for bi-weekend visits to his house. And I felt like myself. And I hated going back. Since I was getting older, the responsibilities were mounting. People talked about my future. I had potential and I was on the right track. Where did I want to take this? My life felt totally out of my control. So I started my decline. I began failing classes, skipping school, getting in trouble. I got suspended for carrying a knife that I had stolen. My teachers didn't understand anything. I had so much potential, and even though I thought it was so obvious that I was trying to take my life back, no one could figure that out. Then we moved to where my grandmother lived, in Jamaica, Queens, and she left it for Jersey. I felt cut off from everything, from everyone. I hated it. I got in more trouble. I even got arrested for assaulting a boy for something that someone else told me that he said about me. The worst mistake of my life. High school made things worse. Adults said it was pivotal, but didn't give me any advice on how to handle it. And anxiety is just raised up when you tell somebody warnings without advice. I had bouts of rage, punching walls, breaking objects, yelling. I started smoking marijuana, cigarettes, drinking, and I developed a very short fuse for everything. My tolerance was lower than low, and I was boiling with anguish and angst. Things reached a breaking point when my mother took away my iPod. I had always found solace in my music. So it was the glue to my broken psyche. I grabbed a butcher knife and I threatened her life and mine. She said she would call the cops. I said one of us would be dead before she got here, before they got here. She told me I needed help. Help. Help takes time. And time was an escape from the life I didn't want to live. So I immediately checked myself into a hospital under suicide watch. After 3 days, I was transferred to a psych ward, and then 3 days later, I was out again. Things were a little better for a short time, but they weren't really better. I fell into a depression, and my best friend transferring schools just made that deeper. My school therapist leaving made it even harder. And then my 9-year-old nephew dying solidified it. I all but dropped out of school to stay home and sleep. I figured someday I'd muster up the energy to go and get my GED at some point. And I started spending a lot of time out of school with my friend Alex, who was a 17-year-old freshman. At school, they told me I was going nowhere, I would be nothing, I would end up like him, I would end up useless. So I stopped showing up. It was when Alex suggested that I check out a GED program that he'd found, things finally started to change. Now, this was the kid that wouldn't stay in school for anything. So I was definitely interested. And I found out that it was MHA Queens Adolescent Skills Center that he was referring me to. I came, I saw, I talked extensively. That was July 2013. I was 18 years old and I enrolled myself. Now, as much as I hate cliches, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The MHA changed my life. Thank you. I found a family there. I found adults who would empathize with me, who understood my situations, and even if they hadn't gone through it, they understood, they helped. I loved it. I got on track. I took my GED. I was doing so well in classes, the staff said I didn't even have to come. After only 3 months, I took my GED, and I was second best in my class. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. I found out about their vocational program. That conversation went a little something like this. You know you still have to come to school, right? I really don't want to. Well, you could tutor some of the kids that are here. No, I really don't want to. We'll pay you. What time should I be there? I would get paid to come to school. Best school ever. Home was still not up to snuff, but it was different. I didn't feed into it because I was focused on working. When I eventually got kicked out of my house, my ASC site director, the reputable Carson Archer, he offered me an internship at the Manhattan ASC, the YES program, so I could earn some more money. More hours and a chance to speak for the youth that also didn't feel like they had a choice or a voice. I jumped at it. Last February, the ASC helped me get a third job at GameStop. It's my first retail job, and now, after a year of working there, I'm in line for a promotion to supervisor. I'm working there, and I'm also a youth advocate at the Bronx ASC. And I'm proud to say I've come a long way from just a kid with potential. In just 2.5 years, I enrolled myself in school, took and passed my GED, maintained 2 internships, competed for and maintained a job at a major establishment, sustained some of my own living, and moved up in a career path that I actually want to be in. My relationship with my boss has gone from youth and director to mentor and mentee. I've grown from a student to an intern to an employee. I've gone from not knowing what I want to do to actually talking about colleges to go to. The MHA has been there for every step of the way, furthering my progress, helping me use that latent potential that people were going on so much about. I've evolved from nothing to a success story. That's something I never thought I'd be. Thank you.